When giants walk, ants scatter. Let's start with a truth so sharp it cuts through the noise. A storm doesn't apologize to the leaves it scatters. That's who you are, a force of nature, unstoppable, undeniable, and untouchable. The ones gossiping about you, they're the dust trying to stand still in a hurricane. Let them try. Your power is too great for their whispers to reach you. When you walk into a room, the air changes. Not because you demand attention, but because your very presence disrupts their comfort. You remind them of everything they're not. The cowards huddled in the corner, throwing rocks with trembling hands, don't know what to do when the target doesn't flinch. Their words are pebbles against your mountain, rolling off without leaving a trace. Why do they talk about you? Because they can't compete with you. They've realized they can't climb to your level, so they try to drag you down to theirs. But here's the thing. Eagles don't stoop to chase the crows pecking at their shadow. They soar higher, leaving the noise below. You're a flame in a world of moths, and their gossip is nothing but weak wings burning in your glow. You're the thunder they curse, because they fear the lightning to come. You're a roaring fire, and their smoke, nothing but a sign of something already consumed by your power. Their words are like paper shields in a raging inferno. They think their gossip can hurt you, but all it does is prove how fragile they are. A lion doesn't turn when jackals bark. It walks forward, unbothered, knowing the noise is just desperation echoing in the background. Your power isn't yours alone. It's divine. When God chooses you, He puts an impenetrable shield around you. What they call arrogance is actually confidence rooted in His protection. They think they're battling you, but they're up against something far greater. That's why every attempt to tear you down fails. No weapon formed against me shall prosper isn't just a promise, it's your reality. Their gossip, blunt knives against steel, their schemes, shadows trying to block the sun. You were built to shine, and their bitterness only sharpens your glow. Have you noticed? They only talk about you because you matter. No one throws rocks at a tree without fruit. Their words are fueled by envy, their gossip dripping with insecurity. They're obsessed because you're everything they wish they could be, but they'll never admit it. Every word they spit at you is a reminder of their smallness. They're like waves crashing against a cliff, thinking they can wear it down. But the cliff stands firm, unyielding, because it knows the waves will break before it does. Your silence is the loudest reply. Let them fume, let them plot. They're fighting battles you've already won. They don't realize their gossip is free promotion for your greatness. You've turned their hate into fuel, their envy into proof of your significance. Remember, when the wolves circle, it's because they sense a king in their midst. Stand tall. You don't owe explanations to those who fear your power. Keep rising, keep walking, and let the weak crumble in your shadow. You were built to silence them without even speaking. And to you, the chosen one, thank you for standing in your power and being part of this unstoppable force. Your presence and super gifts are the reason this mission keeps pushing forward, silencing the noise and breaking every barrier. Whether you're stepping into this space for the first time or you've been a cornerstone of this journey, know this: you're not just watching, you're building. You're proving every hater wrong just by showing up, by staying grounded in your purpose. If you're ready to rise even higher, to use their whispers as stepping stones, and to claim your divine strength like never before, then make it known. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a 77 in the comments to declare your readiness to turn isolation into elevation. Let's show them why they'll keep talking, because you're always moving forward. Now, let's dive into how you've left them speechless. Number 1. Throw stones at a fortress and watch them bounce back. When they came for you, they thought they had it all figured out. They believed their gossip, envy, and petty schemes could chip away at your strength. They thought their whispers could become waves big enough to knock you off course. But here's the harsh reality they're choking on now. Every stone they hurled at you was just a reflection of their own inadequacies. Every insult, every sly comment, every half-hearted attempt to discredit you wasn't about you. It was about them. They saw in you everything they couldn't be, and it drove them mad. Their attacks weren't weapons, they were mirrors. Mirrors that revealed how hollow they felt inside. They couldn't stand to see someone like you, solid, grounded, and divinely protected, because it reminded them of everything they lack. It wasn't your success that enraged them. It was your peace, your unshakable foundation. While they're scrambling to find their footing, you're standing tall, unbothered, untouchable. Let's be real. They wanted you to break. They wanted to see you fold under pressure because that would validate their own weakness. But you didn't flinch. You didn't play their games or stoop to their level. And that's what burned them the most. Their words couldn't penetrate your armor because your strength doesn't come from their approval. It comes from something higher, something they'll never understand. Here's what's eating them alive. The more they talk about you, the more they reveal about themselves. Their gossip isn't cutting you down. It's exposing their insecurities for the world to see. It's like they're shouting from the rooftops, "Look how threatened we are by someone who isn't even looking in our direction." They thought they could paint you as the villain, but all they did was highlight their own flaws. You see, the chosen ones don't crumble under hate. Hate is just noise, and you're tuned into a higher frequency. You didn't need to retaliate because their words were as weak as paper swords against a stone wall. They swung, and you stood still, not out of passivity, but out of power. You knew what they couldn't comprehend. The moment you give energy to their nonsense is the moment you lower yourself to their level. And that's not where you belong. They thought they could shake you, but you turned their noise into fuel. Every attempt to bring you down only made your foundation stronger. Like a tree rooted deeply in fertile ground, you grew while their bitterness withered them from within. You became their obsession, not because of anything you did, but because of who you are. And that's what's driving them insane. You silenced them without lifting a finger, and now they're left to wrestle with their own inadequacies. They're scrambling for control in a battle they've already lost. And here's the truth they'll never admit. They're not just talking about you because they hate you. They're talking about you because they wish they could be you. They're throwing stones at a fortress, and all they're doing is exhausting themselves. You don't just survive the storm. They've realized you are the storm. Number 2. Their hate is the fire that burns them, not you. Haters love to convince themselves they hold power. They throw shade, spin lies, and whisper in corners, believing they control the narrative. But here's the brutal truth they can't stomach. Hate isn't strength. It's weakness, dressed up in desperation. When people go out of their way to tear you down, it's not because they're strong. It's because they're terrified of what they see when they look at you. You're everything they're not, and it shakes them to their core. They don't hate you for who you are. They hate you for what you symbolize: resilience, confidence, and divine favor. You're the reminder of every unfulfilled dream they've buried, every insecurity they've tried to hide. While you rise higher, they sink deeper, and their bitterness becomes their prison. It's easier for them to aim their venom at you than to face their own shortcomings. They're too afraid to look in the mirror, so they focus their energy on smearing the reflection of greatness they see in you. Gossip is their weapon of choice because it's the only tool weak minds can wield. They know they can't outwork you. They can't match your glow, your grit, or your ability to stand tall, unshaken by the noise. So they settle for cheap talk, hoping their words will cut as deeply as their envy does. But here's where their plan collapses. Gossip doesn't touch a soul that's already fortified. It's like throwing mud at a flame. It might make a mess, but it'll never put out the fire. When they try to drag you down, all they're doing is revealing their own fragility. They think their hate can break you, but all it does is expose their own cracks for the world to see. Their negativity doesn't weaken you. It shines a light on their lack of substance. And when you shut them down, whether through your unstoppable success, your unbothered silence, or your ability to thrive unapologetically, their hate becomes powerless. It's like a roar without teeth, a storm that never delivers the rain. They expected you to crumble. They waited for the moment your foundation would give way under their weight. But instead, you rose, higher, brighter, and more unshakable than ever. Now they're left scrambling, desperate to reclaim a relevance they never had. The more they talk, the clearer it becomes. They're exhausting themselves in a losing battle. Every word they spit is a step further into their own downfall. And here's the kicker: they know it. Deep down, they understand that their hate is doing more harm to them than to you. You're out here thriving, living your life, climbing to heights they can't even see. Meanwhile, they're trapped in the smallness of their own bitterness. They thought their hate would destroy you, but all it's done is chain them to their own cycle of misery. Their hate? It's not power. It's a poison they drink every day, hoping it'll weaken you while you keep moving forward, untouched and untouchable. Number 3. The quiet that crushed the noise. Silence is a weapon few know how to wield, and you, chosen one, have mastered it. They came for you expecting chaos, hoping to spark a reaction. They wanted you to lose your composure, to lower yourself to their level, to give them the drama they crave. But instead, you stood still, calm, unmoved, and untouchable. And that silence, it screamed louder than any words ever could. They thought their petty words would break you. They whispered behind your back, hoping their venom would seep into your mind and make you stumble. But what they didn't anticipate was that your silence wasn't a lack of response. It was your response. While they wasted energy stirring up gossip, you kept moving forward, eyes locked on your purpose, your path, and your destiny. You didn't just ignore them, you erased them from your world. And that was the blow they never saw coming. People who thrive on drama can't handle being ignored. It's like starving a fire of oxygen. It dies out, sputtering in its own futility. That's exactly what you did. They came with matches, hoping to set you ablaze, but you denied them the fuel they needed. Every word they spoke, every scheme they plotted, fell flat because you didn't even flinch. You kept winning, kept building, kept thriving. And the more you succeeded in silence, the more their noise became meaningless static. Here's the truth they don't want to admit. They need you more than you need them. Their entire existence revolves around trying to tear you down, because without you, they have nothing. Gossip is a cry for attention, a desperate attempt to feel powerful in the face of their own insignificance. But when you refuse to engage, you flip their world upside down. They're now left alone with their bitterness, staring into the void of their own insecurities. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. A calculated move to let them drown in their own negativity while you rose above it all. Imagine being a mountain while they're just wind. No matter how hard they blow, you remain unmoved, towering above, a testament to strength and resilience. That's why they can't stop whispering about you. They're baffled, confused, and powerless. When you didn't respond, you forced them to confront their own emptiness. Without your reaction, they're stuck in an endless loop, consumed by their need to bring you down, yet powerless to achieve it. Their words were like arrows aimed at the sky, falling back down on themselves, ineffective and pathetic. Your silence didn't just shut them down, it amplified their failure. They're left scrambling, gossiping in shadows, trying to make sense of why their words didn't stick. And that's their greatest frustration. You didn't just survive their hate, you rendered it meaningless. You've shown them the ultimate truth. Silence isn't the absence of power, it's the proof of it. Keep rising, chosen one, for their noise can never reach your height. Number 4. When your light shines, shadows scatter. Your success wasn't just a victory, it was a spotlight. It lit up every room you entered and exposed the shadows where they had been hiding. People who live in darkness can't handle the sudden brilliance of someone like you. They weren't prepared for your glow, your energy, your unapologetic presence. They didn't know how to react, so they did what cowards do. They talked. They gossiped, whispered and schemed, hoping their words could dim your light. But let's get one thing straight. Your light is not something they can control. It's not borrowed, not fragile, and definitely not extinguishable. It's divinely given, and that's what scares them the most. People who feel small don't want to grow. They want to shrink everyone else around them. Throwing shade is easier for them than facing their own inadequacies. So they chose the easiest path, to hate what they couldn't match, and to talk about what they couldn't touch. The truth is, their gossip says nothing about you and everything about them. Your accomplishments, your confidence, and the way you carry yourself without apology. It's a mirror they can't avoid. Every word they speak about you is really about their own insecurities. You're the reflection of everything they're not, and that reflection is too bright for their comfort. Instead of using your example to step up, they chose to hide behind their weak words, hoping to make you doubt yourself. But here's where they failed. They underestimated your strength. They thought their gossip could rewrite the narrative, make others see you differently, or even make you question your worth. They believed their words could cast a shadow over your brilliance. What they didn't understand is that your light isn't just on the surface. It's in your foundation. You didn't need their validation to shine. You never played small, not even for a second, and that's what drove them mad. Their gossip was an act of desperation, not power. It was proof of their limits, not yours. They wanted you to stop shining, to dim yourself just enough to make them comfortable in their mediocrity. But you didn't. You kept moving forward, kept being you, and it only made them more desperate. They couldn't stand that you refused to shrink, to fit their fragile world. And now, they're stuck in the darkness they created for themselves. While they talked, you kept building. While they threw shade, you kept growing. They wanted to drag you into their shadows, but all they did was expose how much they feared your light. You didn't need to fight back, because their own bitterness became their undoing. Remember, chosen ones, light doesn't compete with darkness. It simply eliminates it. You are the proof that no amount of gossip can dim a flame that was lit by the divine. Keep shining, keep blinding them, and let their whispers fade into the background. You are untouchable, and they know it. That's why they can't stop talking. Number 5. They brought swords to a battlefield. You designed. They came at you, loud and reckless, thinking they were ready for war, armed with gossip, manipulation, and their usual bag of petty tricks. They believed they knew how this would go. They expected the old back and forth, the typical messy brawl where they throw cheap shots and you respond in kind. But what they didn't see coming was your brilliance. You didn't just refuse to fight on their terms, you changed the game entirely and rewrote the rules. They thought they were up against the usual, but you're anything but ordinary. You're chosen, divinely protected, and walking with purpose. That's why their attacks didn't rattle you. You didn't need to defend yourself or stoop to their level. Instead, you stayed laser-focused on what mattered: your growth, your peace, and the destiny that's been set aside for you. While they spent their time scheming and gossiping, you were already 2 steps ahead, creating a path they couldn't even see. They didn't just lose, they realized they were in a game they didn't even understand. They played small while you played big. They were busy with checkers, throwing out petty moves thinking they had the upper hand, while you were playing chess, thinking 10 steps ahead. Every time they moved, you had already anticipated their next 3. By the time they realized what was happening, you were gone, far ahead, building success while they were still stuck in the mud they created for you. Their anger isn't just about you, it's about their frustration at being outclassed, outmaneuvered, and outgrown. You didn't give them the satisfaction of engaging in their chaos. You didn't need to. You knew the truth. You can't win a battle with someone who doesn't even realize they've already lost. They wanted a fight, but you refused to show up on their battlefield. Instead, you built your own, one where they had no power and no influence. You silenced them not by shouting louder, but by moving smarter. And that's what they couldn't handle. Now they're left with nothing but their whispers and their bitterness. They spin stories to convince themselves it wasn't their fault, but deep down, they know. They know they brought swords to a battlefield designed by you. They thought they could trap you in their small world of petty drama, but you turned their traps into stepping stones, rising so far above them that they're now shouting at clouds. You didn't just beat them, you obliterated the game they thought they controlled. And here's the irony. Their gossip is proof of your power. They can't stop talking about how you silenced them because it's the only way they can cope with the fact that they lost. Not just to you, but to the truth of their own smallness. They wanted war, but you delivered a masterpiece of strategy, and now all they can do is watch, helpless, as you thrive. Number 6. The flame that exposes shadows. When you chose authenticity over conformity, you unknowingly signed up for a war you didn't start. The group thrived on appearances, fake smiles, hollow laughs, and meaningless connections stitched together by shared insecurities. It was a world of illusion, where everyone played their part to keep the fragile charade intact. Then you showed up, real, raw, and unapologetically yourself, and everything began to crumble. You didn't follow their script. You refused to bow to their unspoken rules or dilute your essence to fit into their shallow mold. You didn't wear their masks or silence your truth to keep the peace. And that, chosen one, was enough to terrify them. Authenticity is like fire. It illuminates and consumes everything false in its path. Your presence was a flame, and their world of pretense was made of paper. They didn't hate you because of who you are. They hated you because you reminded them of what they're not. While they hid behind a polished exterior, you stood bare and unshaken. Your confidence, your truth, your unwillingness to conform, it was a mirror they couldn't avoid. It forced them to see the cracks in their foundation, the hollowness of their connections, and the weakness they so desperately tried to hide. Instead of facing their insecurities, they reached for their favorite weapon: gossip. Gossip is the refuge of the weak, a coward's way of trying to tear down someone they can't match. It's easy, isn't it? To spread whispers and rumors from the shadows, never confronting their own inadequacies, but projecting them onto you. They painted you as the outsider, the misfit, the one who didn't belong, all in an attempt to make themselves feel bigger. But gossip can't touch someone who is grounded in truth. While they talked, you walked. While they plotted, you thrived. You didn't need to defend yourself because their words held no weight in the presence of your authenticity. Their whispers were like leaves in the wind, scattered and meaningless, unable to disturb the roots of a tree that grows from divine strength. Your refusal to play their game was their undoing. You didn't just expose them, you exposed the entire system they'd built. The fake friendships, the shallow loyalties, the desperate need to keep everything perfect. You didn't have to call it out because your very existence did. You didn't shout, you shined. And in that light, their illusions disintegrated. That's the price of being real in a world full of pretense. You scare those who aren't ready to confront their own shadows. You challenge the status quo simply by being you. And now, as they gossip and scramble to regain control, they don't even realize they've already lost. They've built their foundation on lies and you've turned it to ash simply by standing firm in your truth. Chosen ones, remember this. When your authenticity disrupts their comfort, it's not your problem, it's their reckoning. Keep shining. The fire of truth doesn't just burn, it purifies. Number 7. Hate is just fear in disguise. What they won't admit, what they'll never dare to say out loud, is that their hate is nothing but fear wearing a mask. Every petty rumor, every harsh word, every snide comment they throw your way is rooted in the terror you ignite within them. It's not your actions that provoke them. It's your presence, your strength, your unwavering authenticity. You expose their weaknesses simply by existing, and that frightens them more than they'll ever let on. They once believed they had power over you, that their gossip and underhanded tactics could dim your light or shift your path. They thought they could manipulate how others see you, how you see yourself. But then you did the unexpected. You flipped the script. You didn't cower under their pressure. You didn't stoop to their level or try to fight their games with more games. Instead, you stood tall, shielded by your truth and unshaken by their chaos. That's when it hit them. Their power was an illusion. Their gossip wasn't a weapon. It was a scream into the void, desperate and ineffective. They came to break you, but instead they were left grappling with the harsh reality of their own powerlessness. You've become a force they can't ignore. Every time they hear your name, it's a reminder of how little control they ever had over you. And that keeps them up at night. Fear disguised as hate is a dangerous thing. It makes them reckless, desperate to lash out in any way that might give them a fleeting sense of control. But their attempts to hurt you only reveal what they fear most. You are beyond their reach. Every rumor they spread, every whisper they plant, is an effort to rally others to their side, hoping to create an army against the truth of your strength. But the harder they try, the more obvious their weakness becomes. They've realized they can't dictate your worth. They can't define your path or rewrite your story. Every move they make only adds to the undeniable reality of your resilience. They wanted to dim your light, but instead, their actions only magnify it. You've risen so far above their games that their hate is meaningless. It's just noise now, a static hum beneath the symphony of your growth. And while they flail in their fear, hoping to regain a semblance of control, you continue to thrive. You're not just surviving, you're thriving in ways they can't comprehend. You are the living proof of what it means to stand firm in a world full of pretenders. They wanted you to crumble, but instead you become an unshakable monument to truth and strength. Their hate is their own prison, a reflection of their fear they can't escape. And you're the key, the mirror, the unstoppable reminder of what terrifies them most. Someone they can't silence, control, or defeat. You're not just untouchable, you're unforgettable. That's why they'll never stop talking. Number 8. When the spotlight moves, shadows fade. They gossip because they've come to a bitter realization. They no longer matter in your story. Once upon a time, they saw themselves as key players, self-casting roles they thought were vital to your journey. They believed they could write your narrative, steer your destiny, or even define your worth. But the moment you stepped into your power, claimed your path, and silenced the chaos, you made them irrelevant. Their spotlight dimmed, and now they're nothing more than whispers in the background. Think about it. Once, their voices were loud, disruptive, and demanding attention. They thrived on drama, clung to victimhood, and made themselves the center of every story. But when you stopped feeding the fire, their power fizzled out. You didn't just shut them down, you stripped them of the one thing they couldn't live without: your energy. By choosing self-worth, authenticity, and focus, you turned their noise into static. Their chaos, once so consuming, now feels as faint as distant thunder after the storm has passed. Their worst nightmare wasn't you fighting back, it was you walking away. They wanted to be the puppeteer pulling the strings of your emotions, yet you cut the cords and left them holding nothing but their own desperation. The more you disengaged, the more their relevance unraveled. What they once called power now looks like nothing more than empty theatrics. And here's the ultimate sting. While they're stuck trying to orchestrate drama in a room you've already left, you're out there soaring. You didn't just rewrite the story, you rewrote the rules. You became the author of your own life, crafting a narrative so bold, so resilient, that it no longer had room for their toxicity. They tried to wield gossip as a weapon, hoping to drag you down with their petty words. But you were too busy rising, too focused on the divine path laid before you, to even notice their attempts. You didn't just move on, you elevated, transcended, and left them standing in the shadows of their own irrelevance. Now, as they gather in their little circles, whispering about you, they're clutching at the remnants of their fading significance. Their gossip isn't power, it's desperation wrapped in noise. They're clinging to the scraps of a narrative they no longer control, hoping someone, anyone, will still pay attention. But all their efforts do is highlight one glaring truth. You've outgrown them, and they can't stand it. You became the embodiment of true strength, self-defined, untouchable, and divinely protected. Their opinions, their schemes, their drama, they're like leaves scattered in the wind, powerless against the fortress you've built. You've shown them that real power doesn't come from control or chaos. It comes from choosing peace, purpose, and authenticity. And now, every word they speak about you only serves to remind the world of their irrelevance. You've shut them down simply by moving forward, and there's nothing they can do to stop you. Number 9. When the light withdraws, shadows collapse. They thrived on chaos, didn't they? Feeding on conflict like moths drawn to flames, they found power in stirring the pot, in creating storms that distracted everyone from their own irrelevance. These energy vampires depended on drama like it was oxygen, leeching life from the people around them to fuel their fragile sense of importance. Gossip was their weapon, and negativity their playground. They didn't care who they hurt. All they cared about was the attention, the fleeting thrill of being noticed in a world that would otherwise pass them by. But then came you, the chosen one, the force they didn't anticipate. You saw through their games, recognized their tactics, and refused to be their lifeline. When you stepped back and starved them of your energy, their entire world began to crumble. Without your light to illuminate their existence, they were left clawing at the darkness, scrambling for scraps of relevance. They were so dependent on your reaction, your engagement, that when you denied them, it was as though you had pulled the very ground out from under them. By choosing to rise above their petty antics, you didn't just step out of their orbit, you broke their entire cycle. You became a mirror reflecting their desperation, forcing them to confront a reality they could no longer hide from. What they thrived on, you had the power to deny. And in doing so, you became something they could never be, untouchable. Now they're gossiping like starving wolves, trying to piece together a feast from crumbs of attention. They whisper in corners, fabricate stories, and twist truths, but it all falls flat. The more they try to stay relevant, the more they expose their own emptiness. Their words are hollow echoes in the shadow of the power you took away from them. You didn't just silence them, you rendered their entire existence meaningless. It's almost pitiful, isn't it? Watching them scramble for scraps, like scavengers who don't realize the feast has long since ended. Their chatter's a desperate plea for validation, a grasp at the control they once thought they had. But the world they once commanded through manipulation no longer exists. The moment you withdrew your light, their shadows lost their purpose. And that's what they can't stand, that you shut them down not with retaliation, but with indifference. They thought they needed to bring you down to feel whole, but they didn't realize that your strength comes from within. By refusing to engage, you forced them to face the very thing they feared most, their own irrelevance. You starved them, not out of malice, but because their negativity could no longer reach you. While they scavenge and gossip, you've moved forward. You're nourished by something they'll never understand: authenticity, purpose, and divine protection. Their noise fades into the background as you continue to rise. And that's the ultimate blow. They're starving, but you're thriving, untouched and unstoppable. Number 10. You didn't just flip the script, you took the pen. They thought they could write your story, casting you as the villain in their small, pitiful narrative. They painted you as the obstacle, the reason for their failures, the shadow over their happiness. But they underestimated you. When they tried to control the narrative, you didn't just walk away. You took the pen and rewrote the entire script. Suddenly, their words became meaningless. Their attempts to define you crumbled, and their role in your story shrank to irrelevance. You see, the chosen ones don't play roles handed to them by bitter hands. You refuse to let their gossip, lies, or manipulations define you. Instead, you rose above it, like an eagle soaring beyond the reach of vultures. They wanted you trapped in their web of drama, but you burned it down without so much as a glance back. While they clung to their petty roles as instigators and gossipers, you were busy building your life, your purpose, your legacy. What they don't understand is this: divine protection doesn't just shield you, it elevates you. While they wasted energy trying to vilify you, you used their negativity as fuel. Every whisper behind your back became a stepping stone. Every attempt to drag your name through the mud only proved one thing: you're the one worth talking about. Their words, meant to destroy, only amplified your strength, resilience, and undeniable presence. You didn't just rise above their drama, you silenced it. By refusing to engage, by standing in your truth, you exposed them for what they are: desperate, small, and clinging to the illusion of power. Now, they're nothing more than background noise in a story that's moved on to bigger and better things. While they obsess over the past, you're writing chapters filled with triumph, growth, and unshakable purpose. Their attempts to label you as the villain were never about you. It was their own fear, insecurity, and jealousy speaking. They wanted to control the narrative because it gave them a sense of importance. But the moment you stepped into your power, their relevance dissolved. Their gossip, it's the faint echo of a song no one's singing anymore. And here's the truth they'll never admit. They envy you. They envy your strength, your light, your ability to move forward without them. That's why they can't stop talking. But now, their words are like wind against stone, completely powerless. You are the hero of this story, the one who overcame their schemes, silenced their noise, and turned their attempts to harm you into proof of your resilience. They've been demoted in your story, from self-proclaimed antagonists to forgotten footnotes. What they tried to use to hold you down became the fire that propelled you upward. And now, as you continue to thrive, their bitterness is just a ghost in the shadow of your brilliance. You didn't just rewrite the script. You proved that only the chosen ones hold the pen. Number 11. When shadows chase the sun. Gossip is their last-ditch effort, the feeble weapon of those who've run out of ammunition. They've emptied their arsenal, hurling malicious rumors, petty insults, and schemes designed to shake your confidence. Yet here you are, unbroken, unmoved, and stronger than ever. They've realized they can't outsmart you, outshine you, or outrun your growth. And that truth is choking them. When everything else failed, they retreated to the shadows, whispering half-truths and fabricating lies. Why? Because gossip is the refuge of the powerless. They think if they can tarnish your name, they can claw back some control, some relevance. But here's the irony. The more they talk, the weaker their voices become. Their words are nothing but the rustling of dry leaves in a storm. Every success you achieve silences them further. They're gasping for air, struggling to keep up with the reality of your unstoppable rise. You've shown them what divine favor looks like, and it terrifies them. They wanted to control the narrative, to shape how others see you, but they failed to understand one thing. Truth always outlasts lies. The more they try to pull you down, the more their desperation becomes obvious to everyone watching. Imagine a moth banging itself against a flame, trying to dim its brilliance. It only ends up burning itself out. That's what their gossip is. A sad, futile attempt to smother the light they can't handle. They're shouting into the void now, hoping someone will listen, but their words are empty echoes. The world sees them for what they truly are: desperate, insecure, and irrelevant in the face of your strength. Your rise isn't just success, it's a declaration. You've proven that their schemes, their chatter, and their attempts to harm you are powerless against someone chosen and protected. When God placed His hand on you, He set you apart, making it impossible for them to touch your essence. You've become a symbol of resilience, a beacon of authenticity, and their whispers can't touch the fortress you've built. Think of it like this: they're shadows chasing the sun. No matter how fast or loud they try to follow, they'll never touch your light. The harder they try, the clearer it becomes to everyone else that their words are nothing but the noise of people who've been left behind. While they stew in their frustration, you're flourishing, your light growing brighter with every step forward. They're digging their own graves with every word, burying themselves deeper in irrelevance while you rise higher. Their gossip is the sound of their own defeat, a final cry for attention in a world that has moved on. They wanted to silence you, but instead they've silenced themselves. Chosen ones, remember this. You don't respond to shadows when you are the light. Keep moving forward. Let them talk. Their last gasp of desperation is nothing but proof of how far you've come and how far they've fallen. Number 12. A hawk among sparrows, rising beyond their reach. You were never meant to stay in the crowd. You were chosen to rise above the noise, to stand as a living example of what it means to transcend pettiness and drama. While they scramble to find meaning in gossip and bitterness, you've become a symbol of something they can't understand: true elevation. Like a hawk soaring above sparrows, your very existence reminds them of their smallness. They'll never admit it, but every whisper, every sideways glance, and every bitter word is a desperate attempt to grapple with the undeniable truth. You've left their world far behind. Your rise isn't accidental. It's deliberate, powerful, and divinely guided. You didn't stumble into greatness. You were crafted for it. Whether through fate, divine will, or sheer determination, you've become the example that shatters their limited understanding. Their noise is nothing but static against the clarity of your vision. They gossip not because you've wronged them, but because your light exposes their darkness. While they cling to their small, crumbling castles, you're building an empire rooted in authenticity and purpose. Every time they talk about you, it's not about you, it's about them. You've become the mirror they can't turn away from, forcing them to confront the fact that they've chosen mediocrity while you've chosen greatness. Your progress frightens them because it defies their narrative. They wanted you to fail, to stay at their level, to be a reflection of their own complacency. Instead, you've risen, and in doing so, you've shown them what's possible when someone refuses to settle. But they'll never own up to their fear. Instead, they cloak it in gossip, hoping their words can tether you to the ground. What they don't realize is that gossip is powerless against someone like you. Words can't shake a foundation built by divine hands. Their whispers are nothing more than the sound of small minds trying to grapple with big dreams. You don't just survive their noise, you rise because of it, turning their attempts to pull you down into fuel for your ascent. Every step you take forward is a challenge to their comfort. Your success isn't just a personal victory, it's a disruption to the status quo. It forces them to face the reality that their words hold no weight, their judgments no power. You've shattered their illusion that they could define your worth or dictate your path. And now they're left watching from the sidelines, bitterly aware that they can't follow where you're going. You weren't chosen to compete with them. You were chosen to rise above them. Like the stars, your brilliance doesn't diminish when they cast their shadows. It only becomes more visible. Their gossip is now nothing more than background noise, an insignificant hum against the symphony of your success. Deep down, they know they can't touch someone destined for greatness. You become a beacon, not just for yourself, but for anyone tired of the noise. Let them talk. You'll continue to soar, untouchable and unstoppable. Number 13. A beacon that dims their shadows. Your journey has been more than just personal growth. It's been a proclamation, a thunderous declaration of greatness that silences those who thought they could define you. Every step you've taken forward has shattered the confines of their petty limitations, exposing how small their world truly is. They cling desperately to their gossip, hoping their whispers can somehow diminish your light. But the truth is undeniable. Their words are just echoes of your impact, a weak attempt to grasp the power you possess. Each time they talk, they confess something they'd never say aloud. that your success haunts them. Every rumor, every baseless story they spread is an acknowledgement of how far you've come and how deeply your rise unsettles them. They didn't anticipate that you would rise so high above their reach, but you did, and now their envy masquerades as criticism. Yet even their attempts to bring you down have done nothing but elevate you further, making you the very thing they fear most: unstoppable. You've proven that their small, narrow world was never big enough to contain someone like you. In breaking free from their drama and negativity, you've not only claimed your own greatness, but also inspired others to step into their light. You've become the trailblazer, the beacon that illuminates the way for those trapped by similar chains of doubt and gossip. By standing in your truth, you've given others permission to rise above the noise, to see the futility of those shadows cast by small minds. They continue their chatter, hiding in the corners of irrelevance, hoping their words can find you. But here's the truth they refuse to accept: their words hold no weight in a life guided by divine purpose. You've taken the pen and rewritten your story, stripping their influence from every page. The more you rise, the quieter their voices become. Like whispers trying to compete with a roaring flame, they simply fade, powerless against the brilliance of your light. Each step forward is a reminder of who you are. You were chosen to thrive, to rise above, to stand unshaken in a world desperate to contain you. Your light isn't just growing, it's consuming the shadows of their doubt, proving that no rumor, no scheme, no petty attempt can overshadow the power of authenticity. True strength lies in walking your own path, unapologetically and without compromise. You are living proof that greatness doesn't just rise above the noise, it drowns it out completely. Your success isn't just a victory, it's a testament to what's possible when divine protection surrounds you. Keep shining, chosen one. Their whispers are nothing but dust in the wind, fading as you climb higher. Let your life be a declaration, a constant reminder that the truly unstoppable aren't defined by the noise. They're defined by the silence they leave in their wake. And now, chosen ones, as we close this chapter, let this be your reminder. You were born to rise above the noise. Their gossip is nothing more than a fading echo in the presence of your greatness. You've silenced them not with words, but with your unstoppable actions, proving that divine protection surrounds and elevates you. Keep thriving, keep shining, and never forget, you're the storm they can't outrun. If this resonated with you, show your power. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop number 77 in the comments if you're ready to keep rising higher. Share this with someone who needs to remember their strength. Let's keep climbing.